America. So we're going to rewrite American history. We're going to use how they get things wrong when they write about American history, when they write about our country's history. Below our feet, before our fathers were even born, before their parents were even born. The suburbs were tactically nature to cause negative values, progressions, acts, natures, and to make criminal and serious natures of means to cause positive value, nature progressions, self-value without anyone realizing, even though no one wanted it. They were now using more and more words, more and more distinct. They're other. They're using words other than had been revealed for humanity to use, but when they were using the system that humanity really uses, before the sciences became criminally foreign influence in semi-ancient times. So, let me just get into the pick. So the sciences became criminally foreign influence in semi-ancient times. It's just remind. So we have to make the Legion. Not what you think it is, everybody. So we have to make the campus Marsyas. We have to make it function for the republic, which functions for the species body's hypervolume system. I have too much. Excuse me one second. I think I have too much. So, in YouTube, we can make, in other words, we can organize New York City to work for the rest of the country, and us to work for them, and for the rest of the species body. But it will be only about what everyone agrees, not leaving out the slightest exception. And we could do this. Bring forward. We can get executive orders and do things for free. But we have to have the species body. Those other things keep going off because it's a way to keep already having been used words like peace and or like war. They can't defend their definitions. Then would they take on and us at the same time from what employed that? Everyone blaming other things, others, ourselves, for what the breaching method caused. For example, slavery in our faces overtly / insidiously, pretending passions and emotions, forcing quality of factory manipulation that since founding left out what's recorded. There was remote uses of that. See, everyone missed it because you guys were child abused by having had the course of the black pupils, the course of black pupils in the whites of eyes, as directed by that which is hyper simultaneous, actually recorded. You had other in place of it. And you guys have been preventing this from being demonstrated because of each age, in each nature, at each location, had how nature has such differences, for example, age and location. Has that employed tactical ulterior from how nature has it employed, because it knew that nature would continue to demonstrate that, for example, in itself. And it would have to be demonstrated through us, humans, individuals, and groups that are not preventing individuals the means to use the revelations that come surging from proper, and that come from the use of the finite, when finite details are left out. See, we have time treatments used always too fast, too slow at locations. Oh, this is the way the people are coming into the courts. This is the way we are dealing with the people, the problems of the people. More and more, increasingly since founding, because those identities were collusion with it. They didn't even separate. It's recorded. Even if they made up the entire thing about witch trials, is recorded, relied upon by the value of the logic, mixed with delusions and criminally foreign influence, fact treatment, nature, qualities, aspects, natures. And these are doctors, are supposed to be the experts on things. See, this use of all identity ground locations. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a police force, I'm not a criminal. I probably, may have been, other people would have been doctors too. This is intercampuses before the World Trade Center attack, in fact. And leading up to that, years before that, with the people that were involved. So I knew about that. They have the things they don't know and didn't know. In other words, Connecticut had intercities roles with that. And further, what was proven, post-dated documents had been presented to the Ninth Circuit Court in the World Trade Center. Which is right next to the World Trade Center towers, right before they were attacked. Now, names associated with the World Trade Center with locations next to it were involved with that further, as the people who post-dated from inside the Ninth Circuit Court next to the World Trade Center documents to appear late. There are also people with all kinds of insidious identity theft, fraud, slander, sequence shifts, falsified police reports roles, wire crime roles, and with interbranch switching and forging names, because the people tied to them. Even former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, you've never heard of such a thing, but he was a defendant in a 2006 district court, part of a union case, pro se, Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act case. That came about after it was proven they'd been involved with post-dating of documents from inside the Ninth Circuit Court next to the World Trade Center, with the people therefore involved with both buildings criminally, and ones next to it, with the Scalora family too, involved with wire crimes and identity thefts and frauds with Wethersfield Police intercities and on-off campuses, and they forced Saudis to roles with them. Also, there are some police with the name O'Neill. I don't know what they look like. There's a woman with the name O'Neill. She has kids with this one of the police forms families. She's involved with people with child sex offenders and with people on off forensics locations. Also involved with the Joshua Julian with the Facebook pages of the schools, and because they've been using Facebook and evidences they bring before courts and use with private tie to them to hide their own life progressions. They've been planting fake evidences where, and for example, also in the form of bringing things before courts so they could use the courts further in the interbranch locations and their voices and more wire crimes and mail crimes and things, stacking fake things, database to hide live progressions, hide what was really the recorded value of crime scenes, of people that got set up, people that they even lied about the actual outcomes in cases because they have roles with what keeps the real worst uses of the area's overt criminal enterprises and private ones, and uses of the identities of unions and things like that. Time roles with identity theft, fraud, slanders at corners, little punk trick methods where they have all those time allotments too fast, too slow, where they have no integrity, with the investigators themselves used remotely since they were kids. In other words, they don't have someone who will speak about the identity of the branch of government, honesty, and then they want to pretend that you're saying something bad about them. They're doing that so they can prevent someone from saying why they're saying that. They switch names, forge names, fake things into databases, prevented writing since I was a kid, with people connected further, planting evidences on all sides of my house. There's a through time too, and per in the form of using the sense and sensibilities of each age of the fact sheet nature. Child abuses they don't even know about. Even if they know about it, they don't understand the extent of it, of their own kids. Per the Wethersfield Police and the police as the police forms intercities, also involved on off Fox Connecticut News, on off WFSB, with locations I don't know about right next to WTNH, but pretty much next to it, including the FBI there. Now, this is former director of the FBI in his defendant capacities. Three of his co-defendants, John LeConte, Thaddeus Grabowski, and Dominic Lapriata. Dominic Lapriata is a neighbor of one of the people in Newington, with spots in Newington, that has recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with one of the houses with the last name, the Wethersfield Police. Confessed, recorded, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with them with federal evidence crimes with little kids, with child sex offender principle further, other natures of child abuse at the same time, and other obscure pictures and sexually oriented natures of crimes with the kids on off the campus, on off shopping centers and businesses and on off interbranch locations rolls with this, including forensics locations, which is one of the themes that connects to people. And so there's a Whiting forensics place that has crimes with their patients and criminals through time. A whole bunch of people tied to former Mayor Gold too, and his family, and intimate ties to his daughter per one of the people there too. And there's a Phil Cololo further and recorded, confessed, demonstrated. I mean, he didn't show me the thing, but there's a Bob Chase who's involved with federal evidences, crimes, and other natures of crimes with his patients and criminals before they get caught, and against innocent people when he was using as such. Also to force those crimes not told. His roles, he was supposed to show me the police report. I still haven't seen it. And they try to make a fake exception with two Mendez police who are also involved with predicate acts on off Fox Connecticut News in downtown Hartford. Also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed by Enzo Fienza and others involved with the state judicial branch criminally with them, and with the houses there. Also, a whole bunch of people recorded, confessed, including them, and demonstrated it's involved with uses of the houses and kids and each age. The fact sheet means are on off two-ride highway, and the house is conjunctive to it. Roles with falsified police reports, other natures of abuses of kids, and of as names involved with uses of elderly homes. Where also remote uses of the various natures of courts, individually grouped in together, is involved. And witness protection program has a number of involvements, not just through an Enzo Fienza, but also through a Joshua Stryker and people involved with uses of predicate acts with various natures of federal criminals and areas of overt criminal enterprises involved with that timed identity theft, fraud, slanders, and roles with these falsified police reports and narratives. Also, where they put a raise, but then they make mistakes, switch officers' names, and put a raise into the databases, spoken, etc. So these are people with Hartford courts and the Britain Superior Court. I wasn't involved with them. At locations, they affected confessions to me. Relative to those locations, were already involved with confessions and demonstrations to me from years prior. Has something to do with the only one time I saw Ray Collo and Joe DeMauro at Weathersfield Community Center. Now they're involved with some Dillon family and some more people involved with the child sex offender and others on the child abuse registry. They're making fake child registry too, as the ones that were forcing the principal and with the Weathersfield police families, the ones that work with the town offices through time too, has something to do with their roles with Afghanistan. Also recorded, confessed, demonstrated their force by people involved with Los Solitos, involved with the FBI, with programs with them, and with lawyers on off UConn, and involved on off Trinity College and Central Connecticut State University, for example. Also people with computers involved with this crime method where databases are criminally involved. Now, Mark Violet and others have roles with Eric Jensen with confessions about, and Mike Roberts. I don't know. Mike Roberts is with interstates with it was more so Eric Jensen's confessions, interstates with state police forms, planting fake ties to me, fake natures of ties to me with complete strangers. And with them, I barely know. But in context, they couldn't be honest about. Not because they were being influenced, but this is also relevant, their roles with a line of people that go back to warehouse strangers that go to your same school, they're not even in your same class. They confess roles differentially criminally foreign influence with offensive data reception, identity reception, like fact, cheaping nature, quality aspects, nature reception. So we have criminal and serious natures of positive treatments, negative treatments, and identity treatments simultaneously to address. And we have to have this unobstructed. So we have people trying to pretend they're covering up sequence shifting, covering up sequence shifts, and way worse. For example, using crime methods, pretending people are obstructing justice. So they have roles with their worst patients and criminals and against innocents increasingly, and against them. They've been lying about what the outcome. They're keeping the outcomes of shootings where they are and keep happening. Where this is recorded, huh? See, well, we have people changing what we say to theories, and that's why we have to address how they've been using the right to lie where they don't have the right to lie, and in their defendant capacities. There's a James Comey who was one of the ones involved in the Britain Superior Court and Hartford courts with confessions with the family members and intimate ties to the courts and their judges and prosecutors and family members and people associated with them through time, planting evidences, slanders, identity theft, frauds, all kind of tricks as rules on and off campus, putting illusions in databases. Campuses that are filmed 24/7, they're putting fake things and no one's checking. So, all that was used remotely for their uses of parks, for example, which is also involved. In the FBI with my area, who is involved with these federal FBI and their co-defendants who are involved with federal crimes on my campuses with people that lived in other towns that went to my school though, which is also relevant. And because these are people with the Wethersfield police, with the town offices in all these different countries, and they're hiding behind that, where they're forging and switching names. So make sure I get them onto paper. They tell people to pretend they don't understand others. They understand what I'm saying. They painted themselves using investigations criminally, so they could use time criminally. Now they can't bring up conversations that they were pretending in background with their witnesses too. It shows them being and having been used remotely since pounding drums. It's relevant to where and to how they told. They prevent the significance of how simultaneously the ground's tactically denatured, where we have black pupils and whites of eyes natures demonstrating to us about this, but when we have other told. We have the volume science where we have individual group and species body of volume /s prevented the significance of the revelation that come from where and how species volume is actually manifest. I tell it best, vaccines. There are exceptions. I don't deny exception nature. So I don't play punk games with they put, there's a Department of Justice. The Department of Justice, how they can't, all these places we have little people running around with assignments and things like that in time. They're using time simultaneously too slow, too fast to get over on forever nature, which an identity is one of the things. As is hypersonic, only extent is debatable. And it already is accepted that way by our law. But the significance of such is denied in the relevance of it. So we can open up a whole bunch of locations for free, not for them to live, you know what I mean, to ease. All right, people and bad things, but people are stacked upon in New York City. We have to address this. First, we have to get on the same page. First, we have to bring artistic reliefs, way cheaper than anything that they'll charge us through private and things like that are criminally foreign influence already rolls with uses of locations remotely. When did they have an identity to defend the branches of government? They've been roles with the overt criminal enterprises, private ones, insidiousness of A through Z, kept needing to hide the same lies, life progressions. The news media makes up allegations against people who make specific, who tell on specific things and acts about from others, like sequence shifts, predicate acts, falsified police reports, faked conversations that the news media was pretending, including about the outcome of legal cases, because they have roles with crime methods of judges' families, individually grouped and together, and of police forms families, individually grouped and together, and of fire departments, individually grouped and together, EMS, all that works with it. Because they're sick people with drugs. These are victims needing to be able to react to things. They can't do it properly because they're fake. So increasingly, we have to keep faking more things. So we have to deal with how the lawyers are involved with the crime methods, where and how the three branches of government are being used criminally for and influenced, with areas overt criminal enterprises, private one, and people further involved with gun threats and bug spraying and smoke, with insidiously uses of my chimney and each of the sides of my house involved with this, and the confessions and telling me, in other words, don't stop bringing in the kids and the family members' sense and sensibilities of the leader of the kids. They're keeping them coward punks. Then they're gonna want to pretend other. You guys are preventing people from being good, and while they're pretending they're good. In other words, everyone's good. You guys are playing games like with this. There's a officer, Jerry Miller, who is pretending he was fabricating. He's a police officer telling people on Facebook that he recorded me with a helicopter growing marijuana. He made that up right before the pandemic, as rolls with the Facebook page of the principal sex offender, the principal child abuser of mixed natures, with others then and now. I caught first. They hid that by fabricating emails, by lying about the communications. They hid his confessions to me. They fabricated emails so they made it look like it wasn't over the phone that we spoke. He left a whole bunch of different telephone messages and made a whole bunch of confessions and statements on them that were untrue. I didn't even get to report what brought the school up to me, which is a whole bunch of things that Rob Rodriguez said, with a whole bunch of things that have been fabricating, people that have been fabricating, playing he said, she said games as cops and with cops through time. He said it has something to do with the logistics plays too, but it's got something to do with his roles with others, Mike Pandoff, and others with shopping centers through time. I mean, Mike Roberts. I never had a conversation with Mike Roberts. They try to make exceptions to make it look like I know him and others through time. In other words, these are people involved with predicate acts that came before that I even saw him. And there's a Jennifer Kanakapicki and her mother, who's also involved with more FBI people with natures of identity theft, fraud, slanders, wire crimes, rules, with people involved with further upskirt pictures, and roles with their neighbors, with other parts of Wethersfield who are involved with the use of the sense and sensibilities of people around others, like around me, where they brought them in as victims, that the sense and sensibilities of the people that live around me through time, playing these games. Now you need to get them on paper because they want to make it look like I'm mad at them or something like that. This is just everyone forced to speak through others. Where I raised my voice one time and I was wrong. I caught them. You can't record the police. They recorded themselves before that. I just made sure and made them record it further. In other words, that's how they were involved with way worse. Now, these are the people further involved with the World Trade Center attack and leading up to it criminally. As people enter cities, there are people associated with the Mazzucato Bakery in Hartford and one in Rocky Hill that has roles with departments at Central Connecticut State University, where and how they make statements as confessions and as of collusions with people involved with identity thefts and fraud, time, sequence shifts, and worse, intercampuses, with people that can't go back and be honest about finite details. And because there's uses of that. People from Central Connecticut State University and Trinity College are further involved with and as names that had roles timed with the principal child abuser and that helped pull that off. also with the people on off the thing. So there's a Lori Shields or something like that. There's a house on Two Rod Highway with a Spada family. Please get them to get these judges on paper, because Ray Cololo also brought them up years ago, and he's one of the ones playing these games with identity theft, fraud, these playing tricks games with words and with slanders, and with judges and prosecutors criminally involved with those locations, and people involved with body dumping spots, even if they were made up, in the witness protection program. See, even the reported serial killer, that person himself, involved with them times, involved as the people at locations where they're involved with predicate acts. So make sure they get from the name switching and forging Connecticut into branch and onto paper. And they should stop pretending to go forward. They have the integrity to go forward with trials like Sandy Hook. They have Alex Jones, and they have the Sandy Hook Facebook pages involved with preventing mandated law. We have more guns threats and federal rules of evidence crimes with people with narratives, fake passions, emotions regarding guns, as people also involved with the parks and with the kids for their criminally inter campuses, where they're connecting that for them. And they, so it has something to do with the park and the Buckley School in Hartford, and there's a park next to it that has Wethersfield mayors, and they have that prison offices and houses next to the prison offices is involved with the name people with the name Cololo and with the name Dave. I don't know his last name. I never had a class with him. And people involved with, teachers of their teachers, they involved with predicate acts, with judges and prosecutors, their family members, so through time. So, and this Bob Chase, there's a Bob Chase that was supposed to show me a police report then, because this when they were forcing the principal child abuser was more I caught than now. I found out some Mendez police brothers are involved with it too. Trying to get them on paper now. Let's make sure we get them on paper. A police chief, Cintron, and 1 year ago involved with the same house, involved with child abuses, and involved with other natures of federal crimes on off campuses. Also with O'Brien family, which is one of the families involved with Sandy Hook, Newtown, involved with crimes with doctors, also with kids, and with their patients and criminals before they got caught, with other natures of federal crimes, and with physical delusions. So make sure you get them onto paper. Alex Jones, make sure you get onto paper. I want a name now. Give me a response for the interbranch switching names. Make sure they get on paper now. Stop forging, switching names. Sandy Hook Foundation, who's running their Facebook page, you sick, fake punk cops. Stop playing games with victims and get me a response. And apologize to the Keene family, and make sure I get a response why I didn't get a response from them, with the confessions tied to them. And these are the names involved. And her neighbors are involved with this too, with these Fianzas and the state judicial branch offices. And others I don't know their names of, but they know the name of me. So make sure I get a response. New York wants this response too. And fix the fake news that's relevant. They put me in fake conversations with themselves and others about the World Trade Center too. Make sure. They even put victims pretending they spoke about what they were victims of. And they may change all kinds of things, because these are people that painted themselves in corners. They have fake conversations with me that weren't at all pretending that they had fake conversations with me in the dialogue of it too, about legal cases where their roles with the federal criminals in the cases. And there were federal criminals in other cases since before that was proven. Before that case that was ongoing at the time of my father's death, which is relevant. And I was in the Ninth Circuit Court right next to the World Trade Center towers, right before they were hit. And I wasn't in the attack context, but it was right before it, and they had the sequence shifts, and the night before it, and names associated at the World Trade Center leading up to it and since, and with the investigators that they're criminally foreign influence. Of course, they work for the army, and they're telling it. They have a so they bring up their roles with Koreans. Has something to do with their uses of the daughter of the principal when I was at the principal child abusers campus. He wasn't a child abuser, but they involved his daughter years later. I don't know. They made an illusion, make it look like I know years later. And all that time with a Rick Cianfaglione, who's one of the ones involved with some prosecutors and judges at New Britain Superior Court and with Hartford courts and with some military, foreign and domestic, people on off Central Connecticut State University, and involved with predicate acts on off my street too, as names that are roles with uses of. I don't know if they had roles with the actual. They have roles also per when they're speaking with as a group with untimely death on Trinity College. Even if they made it up, it's with the Wethersfield police families too, and the people on off the Wethersfield town offices involved. I'll tell you how they have election crimes. There are all kinds of ways. Many praise. They have nothing to do with election. Why they don't follow mandated law? Why they pretend that they speak for us? They have Quinnipiac community, Quinnipiac. Bryan College has roles with Luigi Guerrero, who is involved with predicate acts with people with the agencies, and there are people with Johnson and Wales associated with Ray Collo and Paul Zano, who were involved with Rhode Island with identity thefts, fraud, slanders, with the foreign and domestic, with these police forms and courts people with sequence shifts, and foreign and domestic medical, even private, involved. Now, I never had anything to do with Paul Zano, and when there were exceptions, we had no conversations. In other words, they're painting fake. And this is also they bring up each other in confessions years later. Has all ties to Covington Street too, and some doghouse place next to it, for example, in that area. All those locations on all sides of the campus, and then on all sides of those locations, because they've been needing to hide what they did in legal cases, what their integrity is relative to the real problems on and off New Britain High School, for example, on and off grammar schools. You got some sick, fake, only heard fake voices and natures that are simultaneously incapable of defending themselves and of affording mandated law proper. So they had to hide it, and they had to hide a lot of lie progressions with all privates tied to them too, because all that was before all those corruption things were connected, people connected for them. Everyone was already collusion at all locations. That was forced by the breaching methods, crazy laws, slavery of everyone. You guys have our founders identity stolen, and that's self-valued in our face, and you guys screening it. That's what's really recorded. Reported.